It was Kepler, the great mathematician and astronomer, that said that geometry gave us two treasures: the theorem of Pythagoras and then the golden ratio. Today we're going to talk about the second one, also known as phi. I'm going to give it now to Professor Misha, and from there I'm going to bounce.
Okay, the golden ratio played for millennia and play still a very important role, both in mathematics, science, and in arts. Uh, Ancient Greeks were fascinated by it. Euclides to start with, but some other ancient Greeks as well.
Hippasos, the bad boy, once again with the square root of 2, now the square root of 5.
Square root of 5.
Yeah.
Yes, we will come to the connection between square root of 5 and golden ratio. So it was revealed to the world through that work, and then for a very long time, it was not particularly known in the West, although it was more developed in Indian mathematical science. Eventually, it was shown together with all Fibonacci numbers.
Fibonacci is something that even non-mathematicians know about. I think it's a fairly popular concept. It's very interesting, Professor Misha, by the way. We know that there is a Fibonacci sequence. It starts with 1, 1, 2, and then 3, 5, 8, 13 goes. And then the closer, the larger the numbers, the closer we get to the limit, which is 1.618. However, every other two random numbers you're going to take, you can put in the same sequence, and then the limit is going to be 1.618.
Because it is a universal number, universal constant.
Fantastic, yes.
Which probably a bit less known in mathematics than
E or pi. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have the same glory. Yeah.
The same glory. But in some ways, it has more probably interest from the point of view of the arts, because in many Greek and other architectural things, painting, sculpture, building of the temples. Phidias, exactly. And the question is, after whom phi was called? After Phidias or after Fibonacci?
I think Phidias.
Yes. It plays a very, very big role. Interestingly enough, actually, the person who was praising golden ratio was Luca Pacioli
and Leonardo da Vinci. We worked with him, illustrated for him.
And Leonardo da Vinci, but Luca Pacioli is at the same time a founder of very boring quote-unquote double entries in accountancy.
Yeah.
So
it's the dark side of mathematicians, no, to be an accountant.
So now a lot of my friends, and I myself studied a little bit, but a lot of my friends studied accountancy, and when people say, oh, it's very boring, I said, well, look at Luca Pacioli.
Yeah, what he did. And he was a friend and mate with Leonardo da Vinci, and they did things together, no less than da Vinci.
Yes, so you shouldn't denigrate accountancy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, and it is found in nature, it's found in a lot of different things, into flowers, into the patterns. It is used actually in the financial mathematics, technical analysis. We've been working there for a long time. It's always a little bit sound like alchemy, this technical.
This is your alley, yes, yeah, and you're right about it. So that's something you used to do, right?
Yes, it's becoming one of the things which I used to do, and it's also a little bit like self-fulfilling prophecy, because if you believe it, most people, market participants, believe that this would be the pattern. That becomes a pattern. Okay. So the same things with Fibonacci numbers and the numbers of the golden ratios. It became part of the financial theory. So it's almost difficult to find an area of human mind, of human application, which doesn't use golden ratio.
It comes everywhere. By the way, it's an algebraic number, unlike pi. So we can produce it out of an equation. It's very interesting. It's the only number that if you take it, add to it 1, it's going to be equal to its power. If you take 5 to the power of 2, it's going to be equal itself plus 1. Fantastic. Itself plus a unit. Because of that, if you look at it as a quadratic equation, you can get out of it two roots. One of them is going to be the golden ratio. The other one is going to be the negative reciprocal of the golden ratio.
Yes, because it would be kind of ratio up and ratio down, so to say. But we go for 1.618. Yes. There is kind of very tentative, very distant relationship to pi. Because if we think about the Babylonian and other ancient approximation of pi, which was not very far from the two golden ratios. But at the moment, of course, the kind of half of the pie is 1.57 and the golden ratio is 1.61, so the difference about 3%. It's quite far, but it's close, but not as close as we would like to do it at the moment. There was no, as far as I know, there was no scientific proof. Why do we find golden ratio beautiful? Because people across civilization, across different times, different cultures, different religions, different races, different ages, whatever different, we find things which are the golden ratio very pleasant to the eye.
The golden rectangle, for example, it's a very good. I think it was part of a lot of experiment in psychology. In psychology, a lot of people actually choose this one, not knowing that this is a golden ratio, and it's fantastic. It comes back to another great philosophical debate about mathematics. Was it discovered or invented? And
absolutely,
this is that's.
Paul Erdős with the kind of God's book of mathematics. Yes, absolutely. I personally think that believe that it is part of the unity of creation. And again, it comes to me about the Prometheus who was fighting with gods about the fire. So Paul Erdős was fighting with gods, so to say, about the mathematics. So it has been certain secrets of the universe which are in the kind of the very foundation of our world, which we are supposed to discover, and we have been discovering it over periods of time.
It's fantastic how you can see it, and it's beautiful to see how numbers correlate so well with the natural phenomena. If you talk about spirals, you see it, one of the best. I mean, I used very often the examples of flowers, the patterns in flowers, and also the patterns on snails' shell.
Yes.
Yes, which is I think it's the spiral. Is it the Archimedean spiral, the logarithmic spiral? I think no, because
I think it is actually.
It is, yeah, because of the way it is. It's like it's exactly how how you produce. You know, if you take the golden rectangle and then you use it, and then you put another one inside it, another one. That's how you create the logarithmic spiral, because you start creating a square out of the rectangle, and then you can continue infinite times.
Yes, it's connected with the pentagon.
Yes, it's true. Also,
not the political pentagon, but the mathematical pentagon, and it's connected also with the triangle, where the two equal sides are basically twice of the apex. So it has quite a lot of different structures which we find very attractive.
You know that I read somewhere that the pentagram itself, which is extension of the pentagon, was the symbol of was the symbol for the cult of Pythagoras. That's how they recognized it. It was part of their symbol, and they were exploring it as well. And there you can see the golden ratio, of course, because you said about the pentagon and then the pentagram itself.
Well, maybe we should kind of even devote one talk about these things, because pentagram and pentagon is something very, very profound in human history. Some of the comments about this it's kind of humanistic comment, because 5 sides symbolize 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head. So it's kind of symbol of a person. So some people even were saying that the communists, like the Russians, the Chinese, used the star as a part, kind of putting a human being in the kind of the center of the creation, rather than, for example, 6 stars, which is Jewish and Christian symbol, etc., which is more like a triangle going up and triangle going down, kind of meeting God and the human being. It would be probably very interesting, actually, topic for conversation about the 2 different stars, for the 5 ages and the 6 ages, and the different and the mystical
There's a lot of mystic around it. The architect, actually, I bought a book of him not long ago, Le Corbusier. He did a lot of that. You remember, the Frenchman? Exactly. I remember it's very famous that he was exploring the golden ratio in relation to the human body, which Da Vinci did as well. Nothing new, but it's fascinating. Just another one who was very interested in the golden ratio.
Yes, well, obviously Da Vinci was absolute genius, and he was the person who, in many ways, unsurpassed. In spite of being over 500 years ago, many things which he drew, many things which he wrote, is still difficult, to make better than he has done. But it's very interesting that Corbusier and some other people in 20th century came back to that. It shows that it's kind of there. In our time of very abstract art, which is often very far from the mathematics, he went and explored.
We do have, there was a lot of there was a strong trend of cubism at the beginning of the 20th century. There was a lot of geometry, but not necessarily geometry in a sense of trying to find the golden ratio, or trying to do it according to certain engineering or engineered plan. However, I read somewhere, but I need to go back to it, that there was some golden ratio experiments and that were done by the same artists who were the leaders of the movement of Cubism.
Saying actually, Coach, interjecting about these things, talking about all this modern arts. I mean, art from even later than Cubism is more like second half of the last century and this century. There is a lot of very kind of, sorry, I don't want to offend anybody, like meaningless art.
Yes,
somebody draws something, which Russian leader, Soviet leader Khrushchev said, like a donkey was painting with his tail. So basically, something you look at it and it makes no intellectual sense.
Yes.
But many of those things have a lot of very pleasant feeling.
It's true, yes. I'm myself creating a lot of art which you can consider to be abstract. Some of it is even action painting, abstract expressionism. I don't like even to name it. Not I can sometimes, but some of the stuff I do is very abstract and goes out of, I guess it's the outcome of stream of consciousness, so I definitely can relate.
It would be very interesting to see, because I myself creating as well.
I'm going to show you.
Yes, and looking at some other people, and just at the moment a couple of painters, new painters, young painters who are kind of developing their style. It comes to my mind that it might be that why I like it, that there are some hidden golden ratio proportions there, because
if we do it,
because you look at it and somehow subconsciously it's very pleasant.
Yeah, it's true. It requires a lot of investigation. Wonderful. Thank you, Professor Misha.
Thank you very much, and see you again.
Thank you.